Hi everyone, thanks very much for joining our BIM Masterclass for manufacturers. I'm just going to start with some housekeeping just to let you know that the webinar will last around 40 minutes. All attendees' microphones are muted, but you can ask questions throughout using the question box on your screen, and we'll get back to you after the session. So I'd like to introduce myself, Holly Cameron. I'm sales manager here at MBS. I've been with MBS for almost 7 years now, working directly with our existing manufacturer customers. And I'll hand over to Jane, my colleague, to introduce herself.
My name's Jane Hibbert and I'm Head of Supplier Technical Content. I've been with the business now for 13 years and responsible for any of the MBS source contracts that come in, kind of delivering those technically across the specification in BIM on MBS source.
Thanks, Jane. So in terms of what we're going to cover today, I'm going to start with giving an intro to MBS and our big factor group. An exposure through a digital age, so looking at the project timeline and how MBS can support with your exposure. And then I'll hand over to Jane, who will dive into a little bit more detail around what BIM is, how it works in practice, and then I'll finish up in summary with benefits to suppliers, looking at some of our latest industry research and how to get started using MBS source. So for over 50 years now, MBS have helped architects produce specifications and connect them with manufacturers, right from published volumes to market-leading digital platform. So the idea for the National Building Specification came about after a study revealed a critical need for enhanced technical content, language and organisation of specifications. And the Royal Institute of British Architects assisted with the creation of MBS, and we were founded in 1970. So over the decades, MBS has been at the forefront of digital transformation, right from the printed set of 4 volumes. We were one of the first businesses to invest in a magnetic card typewriter, and then soon after the word processor. And in 2011, the MBS National BIM Library was launched. It's the construction industry's free-to-use BIM library. Is one of the most trusted in the industry, with all of the objects authored to the internationally recognised MBS BIM object standard. The BIM library is still available today, having moved from MBS National BIM Library into MBS Source this year to create a single source of product information. So in summary, the last 20 years has seen our software become connected to the internet, seeing the industry widely adopt BIM and Uniclass and transform how buildings are designed today. So fast forward to 2020, we entered the next phase of our development and joined the Big Factor Group, who are a leading data and software provider in the global construction market. The move continues to help support MBS's ambitions of growth and enter new markets and territories with a parent company that shares our same values and aspirations. And now collaborating with our sister company, Glenigan, who are a project research company that elevates our propositions through integration of our platforms. So we now have over 3,600 specifier customers and over 1,000 suppliers who are enabling the industry to work smarter, safer, collaborate and specify better. So our products give you opportunity to build relationships, provide the right information at the right time, giving you that exposure and giving you the tools for specifiers to make the right product decisions and increasing your project wins. So the MBS Source platform grants you access to all stages of the project timeline, giving you more opportunities to generate and grow your business. And behind MBS is a team of experts who can help transform your data and support your digital journey. And today we're focusing on those early design stages and the benefits of implementing BIM into your marketing strategy. So I'll now hand over to Jane, who's going to look at what BIM is, how it's evolved, and look at it a work in practice.
Lovely, thank you, Holly. I'm now going to talk about building information modelling, legislations that have been developed, what guidance there is out there to help, and as manufacturers, what you can do to support the industry moving and making sure that you're not getting left behind. I wanted to start off by going back to basics. The whole world is moved into a digital way of functioning, from how we find number or location of a business in terms of jumping onto Google, typing in Nando's, it tells you the closest 7 Nando's, what timetables are available. Lockdown has very much forced us to operate via Teams in terms of meetings. Sales teams aren't driving up and down the country anymore. It's done digitally, and building information modelling is the digitalisation of the construction industry. The basic requirement of building information modelling is communication, communicating all aspects of the building through one digital model. Everyone being able to understand a building through the use of the model. It's a process of creating and managing information across a project lifecycle, whether that be architects communicating the early designs visually to the project team or the client, or the complete opposite ends of the project life in 5 years' time at facility stage, going back to that model, clicking on it, on a product, seeing what date it was installed, what the warranty is, and which manufacturer supplied it. One key output of this process is a digital description of every aspect of the built asset. By going digital, it not only speeds up communication, it provides with ease, track changes digitally within the design, saves your project in a chronological order, and has a history of changes linked to dates, effectively producing that golden thread that we all want. If we understand the requirements of a client, you can build the model's specification and data in a structured way that can give the desired output for lifecycle management. Using 3D parametric tools, it is now possible to be better coordinated in terms of your drawings, schedules, and specifications. BIM's not just about the 3D model, it's all about the coordination and development of all information across many platforms. It's a value-added process in terms of being able to manage your assets much more intelligently, although it's important not to create heavy, overloaded, sluggish design models. A BIM project is created from lots of scalable digital versions of construction products, with the expectation of those 3D representations having information attached to it to support the project life cycle. For those manufacturers with digital objects, BIM objects, designers can drop those into 3D models to help with the drawing and schedule generation. By providing a library of parts, designers can use these to build up projects. There are a set of key documents out there in the industry which support with the implementation of BIM. BIM Level 2 has been mandated since April 2016 throughout the public sector. This is all about how information is managed throughout the project lifecycle, an information exchange process which is specific to that project and coordinates between various systems and project participants. For me, when I'm talking to manufacturers, it's all about digitally structuring your product data in a format that's consistent, that meets those BIM Level 2 requirements. There's a series of ISO documents set out the requirements for achieving BIM Level 2 by establishing a framework for collaborative working and information requirements. These information management standards document the industry standards and best practice for collaborative production of information from BIM during the whole asset lifecycle, from concept through to design, construction, and even life of the asset itself. So what does that mean in terms of products? When standards are released, it's all a bit of an overload of information, and at MBS we wanted to support guiding the industry. We knew BIM was growing, we've seen the government mandate being rolled out, and we've seen the private sector adopt BIM due to the efficiencies that were being seen from it being used. As specialists in the product information industry, we want to put guidance out there that could be adopted to showcase what's expected in terms of digital objects and help people meet the government mandate. So that's why we developed the MBS BIM Object Standard. This was both for manufacturers to help showcase how they can present their product information in that digital format that's usable for designers, but also for the design team to push consistency across the industry. There's power in data when it's structured in this consistent way. And now I'm going to delve into the standard a little bit more. There's 2 main parts. So the first one being 3D geometry. The first part to think about is how the product is used within the real world. We need to make the BIM object perform in the digital environment like it would in the real world. This example, a door can only be added to a project within a wall. If it's a cubicle, we need to know that it's very flexible, so that 2 cubicles in a row can be working versus 6, and it's very easy for the designer to use this. If it's a light, it needs to have IES files, so lighting simulations can be run later down the line. Or if it's something as simple as a tap, we need to make sure that the connections are there so everything can be linked up later down the line. We can also build intelligence into the object in terms of clearance zones. But we also build in functionality in terms of minimum maximum requirements behind the scenes, so that when someone's in the BIM platform, they can't model something or add something in the object that you as manufacturers can't adhere to. So this is just an example of something formulas not being built in behind the scenes, where a door has been specified to a very, very kind of large size. We can build functionality in the objects to make sure that that doesn't happen. And we can do set sizes. So if your product's available in 7, we can predetermine them inside the BIM object. So we're confident that something being added to the model can definitely be built. Once you have those fundamentals built into the BIM object, we now talk about levels of detail. It's important not to over-model your BIM objects. You may have 3D representations of your products already, where we usually see logos modelled, nuts, bolts, hinges, all that type of thing. The purpose of the BIM model isn't for production, it's for the use within the project. When creating BIM objects, we try and avoid making files over a certain size. This helps not to make the overall project model being sluggish. You can imagine if you had lots of big sized BIM objects that you all load into one project, that the overall kind of project model becoming slow. We want to avoid that, so we strip a lot of things out of it. And that's adopted by the level of detail. This was first introduced by the American Institute of Architects in 2008, when it was defined 5 different levels of development to define detailing levels within a BIM model. This allows professionals in the industry to very clearly articulate how an element's geometry is associated with information and how that evolves through the process. So we start off at LOD 100, which is very much concept stage, just outlines of things. It then grows to LOD 200, which is approximate geometry, all still scalable, but very stripped back. Where we author at MBS is LOD 300, 400, which is precise geometry, along with connections and that clever functionality and intelligence that we build into the BIM objects. And then LOD 500 is as built. So as your BIM object is guided through the journey and information's added as you go through, that's where you would see LOD 500. When we look at this in practice, I have some doors in a BIM object next to each other in a simple project. Revit has 3 levels of detail built into it: coarse, medium, and fine. Coarse is level 100, where I would say concept stage. Fine moves towards LOD 300 to 400. This is taken into consideration in every view of the model. You can see the levels change as I move through the BIM software. This is another bonus of working in BIM, modelling things once and being able to flip from the floor plan elevations, sections with ease. But we build in those level of detail of all aspects of the kind of platform. Part 2. So I said there was 2 parts. The second part is the information, which is arguably the most important part of the BIM object, the I in BIM. Having consistently structured data, well organised, that can be utilised by the project team, that aligns with the asset management process. So when we're referring to BIM and BIM level 2 in the management of information, this is where this comes into play. And I'm just going to jump to the next slide and talk about that a little bit more. So when we're looking at the information side BIM objects, there's 3 main sections. So the first one is the very much general data. So we talk about the product, we give it a name so it's found easily in the software, we give it links to the manufacturer's website, we start and talk about the classification. We then start and bring the specification information involved. So we talk about the product characteristics in the BIM object exactly the same way we would in the digital environment and the specification. And the final one is the asset management information. So we have things in there like installation date, warranty start date, the warranty length, and that type of thing that can be utilised throughout the project lifecycle. By doing this and structuring product information consistently, what we can do is start creating window schedules or door schedules and all that type of thing. So I've got 9 windows dropped into the model here. What we can do is quickly create a window schedule. Here you can see the manufacturer's name, the URL, the product name, how it falls into the classification, and then characteristics of the product. What we can then very quickly do is build a window schedule, so you can see how having the consistently structured data can speed up the designer's processes. This page just shows MBS's offering. So MBS offer a service of authoring BIM objects to the MBS BIM object standard. What's unique about the MBS offering is what data is consistent between all the documentation. So what we're doing is working with manufacturers to structure information in terms of the specification, in terms of the BIM object and how all this comes together. We've got a plugin inside of Revit to host the specification software MBS Chorus inside of Revit. So as you're building the model, working on MBS source, finding your BIM objects, you can drop them into your project while you're specifying on the go. We work with you to structure your product information in terms of specification and develop your BIM objects. It's not just creating a 3D object or thinking about the specification by itself, but that whole kind of ecosystem of how a designer works and finds your products and specifies them and adds them into the project. As a designer, it's all about choosing the path of least resistance by digitalizing your products and putting them at the fingertips of the designers with scalable 3D geometry, structured data that aligns with the asset management process and provides in detail the requirements of a specification, making your products a higher specification choice. It's all about making it easy for people to find your product information to add that to their project. If you make it difficult to access your data versus someone who makes it really, really easy, people are going to go back to the path of least resistance and pick what's easy. And by providing your specification structured in a consistent way, your BIM objects alongside the asset management data and what you need, you're putting your products at designers' fingertips and making it hard not to use, because there's everything that I need to meet those legislations that we've been talking about. That's it from me, and back to Holly. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Jane. So we're now going to have a look at some latest research which really backs up the requirement of what we've been talking about and using BIM in your marketing strategy and how MBS can help with this. So in 2011, we launched our first annual BIM report. So this tracks BIM adoption, trends, key industry insights. And the BIM report celebrated its 10th anniversary in 2020, which is then surpassed by the Digital Construction Report in 2021. So this has given us a whole decade of research into the different opinions and what BIM actually is, and what change it could mean for the architecture and construction industries. So it's now telling us that 71% have adopted BIM and 25% plan to over the next 5 years. And in terms of BIM being adopted globally, we also asked internationally how well recognised it is in your country, and over half would say that BIM is the norm for project information in their country, and this has increased from the previous 2 years, which means that BIM is being more widely adopted internationally, and more countries are following the UK's lead in terms of mandating this process. And as well as BIM looking generally at digital transformation in the construction industry, it's not just BIM that is key here. The industry is transforming, and it's important for suppliers to understand the digital tools that designers and specifiers are embracing so you can stay ahead of your competition. So looking at our What Specifiers Want report, which is our latest report, which we asked out to the industry of specifiers what you need from manufacturers, and 69% said that they need manufacturers to provide BIM and digital objects. And this is one research trend that has remained high throughout the years. So it's quite clear that specifiers are more likely to specify a product if there's 3D information available, save some time when they're modelling, and at the very, very least, they're looking for MBS Chorus compliant specifications and BIM models. So in terms of the opportunity, it's worth considering, are you only addressing 31% of the opportunity out there? And can you elevate your marketing and sales strategy to tap into that 69% of specifiers? So in summary, looking at the benefits to manufacturers, it's creating a digital twin of your product so you're future-proofing your business. It's aligning your product data. It's exposing your products to digital specifiers, so those digital natives who are used to using these tools on a daily basis. It's creating new opportunities for your marketing and sales team, and it's a thought leadership outlook. So you can be a leader in your fields by driving digital transformation. It also allows you to market your products and your brand like traditional marketing may not deliver. So it allows cost-effective marketing, which is armed with real-time analytics, so you can actually get a true reflection of return on investment. So what can we do for you, and how can we help you get started on this journey? So MBS Source is the primary source of high-quality product specifications and BIM objects in the UK, and it is setting the pace globally. So now the industry is working to BIM level 2 and the new ISO standards, as Jane mentioned. We can help you have compliant product information, which offers the industry free to use high quality BIM content, which is the only platform that is linked directly to MBS Chorus, the leading cloud-based specification tool. So in terms of access to the audience, there's around 60,000 unique visitors that research and use MBS as a tool each month. Last year, we had over 400,000 BIM objects downloaded, and our users specify each month, on average, 5,500 products. So it's an opportunity for your products to be in front of the right people at the right time, not only directly via MBS Source, but as Jane showed in earlier videos, the plugins via Autodesk Revit enables your products to be fully linked to the specification. And it is the only BIM library that can directly get your products placed in the specification. So with traditional marketing, it can be difficult to track return on investment. Using MBS Source as a digital marketing tool can not only provide you with a high quality set of data, but it increases your chances of your projects converting through to wins when, one, you're specified on the project, and two, when you can actually track these projects through the planning stages with the use of Glenigan. So not only will we help you create the content and market it, we can provide you with access to your own dashboard of MBS intelligence, so you can see who's downloading your BIM content, which products are being specified, specific project inclusions in terms of those quantities via Revit, and you can have a raised understanding and awareness of product performance. So which products are performing better than others, what specifiers are looking for in terms of common product trends. So looking at the process and onboarding and how we can help you get started. So we can initially give you a BIM consultation. This would involve having a call with one of our technical experts, discussing whether you are starting this from scratch. Have you already got BIM objects, or have you got Revit files that you would be looking for us to certify and host, or would you like us to support you with authoring content? One thing we have found over our years and with experience and working with suppliers and manufacturers, it's important you want to get this right first time and not need to be reinvesting in needing to make corrections over time. So if you can get it right first time, in the long run, it's much more cost effective to outsource it to someone that's got that expertise. It also takes the resource and pressure away from you internally as well. So once we've had that initial consultation, and we would look to prepare that product information. So you would send us the relevant CAD files, associated technical data sheet, so we can structure that information for you, and we can author your product specifications and create the Revit files. We would always ask you to approve content prior to publishing, so you've got the opportunity to check that you're happy with the content that we've delivered. And then once your content is certified and published on MBS Source, it'll be available for specifiers to search and find by certification. And then you'll get access immediately in real time to your intelligence data via our customer partner platform. It's then also a great opportunity to make use of the logos and promote the launch of your digital objects. So you could really use it as a targeted marketing campaign to generate wider awareness of your brand and the new service that you're delivering to your potential customers. So in summary, we offer multiple routes of exposure through MBS Source, our product data platform, and MBS Chorus, our specification writing tool, as well as the Reba CPD providers network and our MBS partner marketing, which is a targeted multi-channel route of advertising. So all of this generates awareness in your brand, thousands of specifiers. The next stage, after the webinar today, a member of our team will reach out to offer that free BIM consultation. After I've finished our presentation, we will be sharing with you a presentation from Ryder Architecture, so you can hear from an architect's perspective how they use BIM and how they utilise MBS at the MBS's tools. Thank you very much for your time today. I hope you found it insightful, and should you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach directly out to myself or Jane.
So hi there everyone, my name is Jack Daylove. As Jason's already mentioned, I work at Ryder Architecture as well as a senior technologist, so got a very similar background. Nowadays I'm generally responsible and acting that technical lead role that Jason just mentioned, so that involves delivering the project technically. But also specification of products, preparing our specifications for the project, but also working with the contractor through stage 4, stage 5, and possibly kind of exploring alternative products as well. So heavily involved in that process. So I'm just going to take you through a couple of short videos on our specification process, how we find and specify simple products through to more complex systems, and what we're looking for from manufacturers and from their products as well, whilst we kind of walk through this process. Also how we use Chorus currently as well, to give you an idea of what we're doing through that kind of stage. So should we brief pause? So we just start off with a basic blank project specification that we've set up in Chorus, which I've just called example specification, because. So say we need to find a roof light or an access hatch, and we very simply navigate to MBS Source just through the browser, really straightforward, or through the plugin in Revit. Again, this is pretty obvious. We're just kind of searching for an access hatch, very broad brush approach, just seeing what comes up. We do have preferred suppliers we worked with before, people like Bilco, but generally what we're looking for is the kind of the BIM objects that you see there, and that makes our process a lot easier and a lot quicker. We're looking for information that's kept up to date as well, and also basic descriptions. You can see there that we've got both the add to specification and the BIM object as well. That is ideal for us. Now there's a lot of information here, all preloaded, all really useful. All of these features, benefits, specification information, it all helps us very quickly figure out whether the product is fit for purpose and what we are looking for. And also all this preloaded information, you can see there things like accessories, allows us, sorry, I just hit backwards there. It's probably worth just touching on a couple of other things as well. As Jason, we used to use NBS building. It was still fairly similar process. It involved the same kind of research into products, but NBS Source is definitely making our lives easier, having all of this information to hand, being able to directly plug it into our model. So we really like, for the manufacturers we use, to have their products on here, but also all the information ready to hand. If something makes our life easier and all the information is there, we're more likely to to move forward with that product than someone who's sending across core specifications that we have to kind of manually type in. So as we're saying, there's a lot of general information there that we need, so we kind of need to tear through this and figure out whether that product's fit for purpose. It's all preloaded into the actual BIM object itself, and when we move the clause into our specification, that comes preloaded. And also product literature as well. That's a really big thing for us. Often you've got to call up and ask for the latest brochures and things like that. If it's all there, it's very quick for us. At this point, we've not even had to engage with the supplier, and everything we need is readily at hand. So we're just we know this is the right product for us. We used it before. We're gonna very quickly move this into our specification. So it's essentially a copy and paste process. So we've got a blank clause there just for generic roof access hatches. That's the Uniclass code there and the description. It's just a copy, paste in place, and very shortly you'll see still brings up the features and benefits. Is this the correct one? Is this the one you want? Yes, it is. Add it to your project. And there you go, that's as simple as it gets really. Most of the information is preloaded there, except for the stuff that is blank. That's for us to change things like, I don't know, colours, any other accessories we need, things like that. That's very important because it avoids us having to look through product information to try and find what we should be putting in and out if it's already kind of there for us to pick from. And then similarly loading into the Revit model. So we can download the BIM objects. And then very simply drag and drop those into our Revit platform. So at Ryder, we use Revit predominantly. Just set up a very basic sheet here on a project. It's a bit more complex, but we've got, for things like windows, access hatches, we need to schedule those out for the contractor, convey all the relevant information. So we're looking for a product that we can very quickly just load in, drop into the project. And as you zoom out, you'll be able to see at the bottom in the schedule that all of that preloaded information is already in there. That's perfect. If it was a product, if it was a generic component, we would have to manually type out all that information. And as you can imagine, that probably gets like a time-consuming process for us to do this for all of the elements of a scheme. Final step for us is to just tie this to our specification. So we use the in-house Chorus plugin through Revit. You'll see me struggling to find the specification. There we go. So there's our example specification that's already been linked to that project, and then it's just associated with the model. So those are tied together now. They speak to each other. We'll send across the drawing and the specification to the contractor or client, whoever, and it's all packaged together, nice and straightforward for them to find that information as well. And everything is robustly captured. The last thing for us to do on something like an access hatch or a window is simply to tag it in our information. Again, Chorus comes with a lot of preloaded tags that look for the Uniclass clause, which is embedded within the project. And then shortly you'll be able to see when I click on the product again. There's all that good stuff in there that's come directly from NBS source and the specification, everything from descriptions down to more specific product related things such as like fragility ratings for things like roof lights, access hatches, stuff that we really need to know. It's all in there, and it makes our life a lot easier when it comes to specifying, but also the defending the inclusion of a product with the contractor and proving that it is fit for purpose, and what is being proposed might not be an equal and approved substitution, as Jason picked up on. So that's that one. Let's move forward to the next one. So this is second video is going to be more of a complex system. So we're going to be looking at a single ply roofing membrane. it's an expedited video of the research process we go through when we're specifying a product or a system like this. So you'll just have to bear with us on this one. Starts exactly the same. We know we're looking for a single ply membrane through to source through Google. We may or we may not have a manufacturer in mind at this point, but what we're really looking for, because you've got the big hitters like Bowder and SIG coming through there, what we're really looking for here is third-party certification. So in this case, a BBA cert. This is vital for us, and we need this to prove that a product meets all of the building regulations that we have to comply with. Specifically in this case, for something like a single ply membrane, it's going to be fire performance. So that's the big one at the moment. So we've been able to filter by BBA certs because we know we're going to need that to justify the use of a product. All of that information is there as previous, including the Revit model and the literature, but also the third-party certifications there. Usually we have to call up, ask for those. Sometimes suppliers don't have those in between testing, or it might be a different type of certification. But if that information is there, ready to hand, again, it makes our lives a lot easier. It makes it more likely we're going to specify your product. So in this instance, we're having a quick click through the BBA certification, and we're looking for performance in, behavior in relation to fire. So we know this, whatever product we propose, because of our boundary conditions, needs to achieve certain performance ratings. So we're looking for a B roof T4. Great, found the product. We know it achieves that rating, plus any other things like resistance to wind uplift. We always need to be aware of that. And then, as previous, it's the same kind of add to the specification and add to our Revit model. So similar process, blank clause, and we copy and paste that in there from MBS source. Now there's a lot more information on these. You can see here all the manufacturer's accreditations, BBA certificates, CE markings, is all the stuff we need, and it needs to be up to date as well. We need to have confidence that what we're specifying is current and hasn't been left to gather dust, and all the BBA certifications and other documents comply with the latest building regulations. Quite often specifications are copied across from one project to another without checking latest building regulations. That's another reason we like using Chorus, because it helps us keep up to date with the rules that we need to follow, and also the specification guidelines and things like that. So as previous, we're just dragging that into our model now. Again, all that information is preloaded. So this is just, again, there's the roof light that we loaded in previously. The product that we have there is just a placeholder. It has a little bit of information in there. Again, descriptions, unit class clauses, and there's the one that we've just brought in. So we can very quickly substitute that out. Gives us the correct description, correct unit class code, and all of the information. And we can easily take that off in schedules and drawings and anything else we need to produce to communicate the contractor what we are proposing, what we've specified, and also what criteria a substitute product needs to hit as well.